Returnal is one of the most interesting original sci-fi games to release in the recent years. With its challenging gameplay and a labyrinthic plot that is anchored in the hostile planet of Atropos, it is here that the game presents us with a decadent civilization that has left only traces of its former glory, hidden in the deep jungles, dunes, mighty towers, and icy blocks of the ever-changing planet. In this new video of the Deep Dive series, we are taking a look back into the past of this antique civilization, trying to piece together their origins, development, and demise, with the clues left behind in the different audio logs, xenoglyphs, and Xeno Archives found by Selene Vassos during her ongoing quest to escape the planet. Perhaps, by getting to know them better, we will be one step closer to break the cycle. It is really difficult to determine when the history of the xenotype civilization we encountered in Atropos really started. There is not a single thread left behind in their Xeno Archives, the vast structures of the derelict citadel, or the colossal desert that gives any hint that will allow us to create a precise timeline. What we can limitedly attempt to infer is for how long these sentients, as we should call them for now, inhabited the planet. If we try to compare them from a civilization standpoint against our most ancient human civilizations, like the Egyptians, we would be talking about at least a 5,000-year period in which these sentients originated, thrived, and destroyed themselves, but their anatomy, technology, and developments seem to be far more superior than anything we've seen as a human race for that short amount of time. It would be dumb to think the sentients were born out of thin air. Most certainly, like humans, they are the result of a complex evolutionary process, but it seems that this kind of research was either never conducted by the sentients, or perhaps never found by Selene. Without any scientific recording except for this Xeno Archive reference, where we can see them trying to find shelter from the hazards of the planet, their origin is completely unknown to us. Although some of the tallest specimens of the sentients reach 4 meters tall, it seems their bodies were as fragile as ours, weak and slender, susceptible to the environment and its dangers. Their nutrition, or whatever means of energy they consume to survive, is also a mystery, as the planet itself is an extreme place for the survival of any species. We have seen cavities that could be interpreted as eyes and mouths, but perhaps solar energy played a major role in their survival. What is more fascinating, there is no trace or representation of any ancient tools, other than the ones that Selene has found that seem to be more contemporary. No gadgets or weapons that might have been used to protect themselves and thrive in this hostile environment at the beginning of their era. Perhaps they relied heavily on what we have witnessed to be their offensive capabilities in the manipulation of energy, specifically the use of opalites as their primary resource, extremely abundant on this planet. It seems that the use of this source of energy, this material, was perhaps the key to rapidly overcome any environmental challenge, allowing them to construct different structures that grew in complexity. This moment in time is where the sentients demonstrated a highly advanced capacity for an almost perfect organization. The Hivemind was born. This single-mindedness, a nearly automatic thrive synchronized in unison for this weird purpose of construction, resulted in the development of new technologies that allow their limits to be expanded. As their technologies developed, their bodies were enhanced. Automatons were created, helping the exceedingly regimented Hivemind to fulfill what might be their most impressive feat: the Citadel, a machine city high in the sky of Atropos. We believe it is here, far away from all the perils of the wild of planet Atropos, that the Hivemind rapidly progressed into an intellectual society, perfecting a complex language and probably questioning their own origin. It is within this period of search and discovery that a fracture within the ranks of the Hivemind, a rupture of this perfectly synchronized society, emerged. The origin is still unclear, but the ancient xenoglyphs are our only clue, and they may hold some truth in their storytelling. Rumors of strange visions began to circulate the ranks of the Hivemind. A myriad eyes beholding in the long and dark sunlight as it rains like pitch. The name of the Transcendent Watcher began to be murmured in the Citadel, calling from the deep below the Abyssal Scar, casting promises of a new kind of transcendence that tempted even the most loyal sentients with visions of glory. Some of their members escaped from the comfort of the Citadel and adventured to the darkest pit of the sea, where they found Ovion. The imposing creature shared its knowledge, judged this select group of Hivemind worthy, and offered godhood, but crippled them instead. Their bodies changed, large tentacles flourished from their crippled arms, and their connection to the perfectly organized Hivemind was destroyed once and for all. The Severed were born. Upon their return to the Citadel, the Hivemind denied entry to their long-gone brothers, probably being unable to synchronize in harmony as before. Now with their bond broken, the only response available prevailed in both sides: fear. Some of the leaders were imprisoned in the high-security vaults in an attempt to break the change of command of the Severed, while the rest of them escaped to the Crimson Wastes. Settling in the dunes, the Severed continued to receive orders from the imprisoned leaders, with their mind fixed on their next objective: the ascension to the throne of exaltation, the highest point on the mountain that stuck out in the vast desert. The Hivemind wrapped themselves in preparation for the journey to the mountaintop. The climb was an exhausting feat, both mentally and physically. The strongest of them all, Ixion, the Exalted One, made it to the top, sat on the throne, and completed his ascension, achieving clarity in madness. Statues were erected, pillars were worshipped, and teachings were written. Those unworthy of completing the ascension appeared to be punished with madness and hostility, falling into constant agony. With their ascension to the mountaintop complete, the Severed targeted their next objective: the Citadel. But the Hivemind prepared in advance. The mighty automatons used for their perfect constructions were retrofitted. Turrets were built and the city was reinforced by an advanced laser system, all with hopes of protecting it. But this just slowed the enemy, never managing to completely halt them. There's no word on how long this war lasted, but it probably wasn't that much, as the genocide on either side was too much to withstand. The Severed breached through the defense lines of the Hivemind, and the final showdown between the both sides ended in the near extinction of the xenotype species. The last of the Hivemind, Nemesis, sealed himself defending the broadcast tower of the now derelict Citadel, lost in a perpetual state of dreaming. As for the Severed, only a few of them are left, roaming the desert and the derelict Citadel, while their leaders sit in their vaults and atop the throne of exaltation. The Severed seem to continue looking for answers, questioning where they were wrong, and waiting for the last option for a connection: the arrival of the Creator-Destroyer, Selene. This is the first of the pieces of the puzzle to try to understand what the end of Returnal really means. In the meanwhile, be sure to check out other videos in the Deep Dive series while you wait for the next release. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later on the B-side.